Tato. Hey, I'm coming to you from a different studio. That's because every time you see this background, you know that Mrs. Mackey's going to be reading you some fact books. That means non-fiction, means it's not a made-up story, but lots of different ideas and information about a certain topic or subject. I'm going to be reading you a series that is called the Life Cycle series, and this means it's about a creature or an animal or an insect, something that has a life cycle. That means it starts and ends and then starts again. Alright, so today's first non-fiction book is called Caterpillar to Butterfly. It is produced by Camilla de la Bedouire and it is a QED publication. There are a whole lot of books that I'm going to be reading to you about this, so look out for those as well. So Caterpillar to Butterfly. When you look at a book, a fact book, you'll find that there is more than likely a contents page. The contents page tells you what the story or what is in the book. So we've got a whole list of things in here. What is a butterfly? The story of a butterfly. New life begins, the eggs hatch, so on and so forth, and right down to the very end where there is an index. And when we get to that, I'll tell you all about that. What is a butterfly? A butterfly is a type of insect. Insects have 3 pairs of legs, making 6 legs altogether. The wings of a butterfly are covered in many tiny scales. The scales are usually patterned and coloured. Insect bodies are divided into 3 parts. The head is the front part and has the eyes and the mouth. The thorax is in the middle part where the legs and wings are attached. The abdomen, this part here, is the back part where the insect digests its food. Now, in a non-fiction book, you will more than likely find illustrations that have little things like this, and they're kind of like little notes to tell you, and they will always refer to something so you know what it's called. The story of a butterfly. Butterflies flutter around the plants. Female butterflies look for a place to lay their eggs. The eggs hatch into caterpillars. Later, the caterpillars will change into butterflies. A butterfly has 4 stages of its life cycle. 1 is the egg. 2 is the caterpillar. 3 is the pupa. And 4 is the adult. The story of how an egg grows into an adult butterfly is called a life cycle. So it goes around. A new life begins. In spring, a female butterfly searches for somewhere safe to lay her eggs. She lays them under the leaves where they are hidden from view. Monarch butterflies lay their eggs on milkweed plants. The eggs stick to the leaves. But there is the egg underneath the leaf. Different types of butterfly lay their eggs on different plants. Peacock butterflies choose nettles. These plants have stinging hairs. The stings stop animals from eating the nettles and the eggs. Nettles are a safe place for peacock butterflies to lay their eggs. eggs hatch. A few days later, the eggs hatch and a tiny yellow caterpillar comes out of each one. Caterpillars spend most of their time eating, so they grow quickly. Monarch caterpillars become stripy as they grow older. Have you ever seen a monarch? As a caterpillar grows, its skin becomes too tight and splits. The caterpillar sheds its skin, revealing a new one underneath. This is called molting. A caterpillar is also known as a larva. So when a caterpillar molts, it wriggles out of its skin. Staying alive. Caterpillars are soft and juicy, so lots of other animals want to eat them. Many caterpillars have special ways of staying alive. Monarch caterpillars are bad to eat. These stripes warn animals that they are poisonous. The monarch caterpillar's poison comes from the milkweed plants it eats. Many caterpillars are green, so they blend in with their surroundings. This is called camouflage. Some caterpillars have sharp spines on their bodies. A green caterpillar on a green leaf can be hard to see. Making a pupa. Caterpillars grow fast. After about 14 days, a caterpillar is ready to change into a pupa. This is the next stage of its life cycle. A caterpillar makes a silk thread and uses it to hang from a leaf. So there it's very tiny up there. You might want to zoom in and just see that it's spinning a piece of silk. It molts for one last time. The pupa is already formed under the caterpillar's skin. So there you can see it's starting to take its skin off the last time. Once the skin is shed, the pupa hardens. A pupa is usually green or grey, so it is difficult to see on a plant. This is another example of camouflage. The pupa is tough on the outside to protect the insect inside. Inside the pupa, the caterpillar gradually changes. You can just see some wings underneath there if you look very carefully. A butterfly appears. After about 2 weeks, the pupa of the monarch butterfly becomes darker in colour. The orange wings of the butterfly can be seen inside. The pupa cracks open. The butterfly crawls out. It sits on the empty pupa case. Then it spreads its wings so they can dry. It has to rest for a few hours before it can fly. An adult butterfly does not grow anymore. Male and female monarchs look similar, but males have small, dark spots on their back wings. So you can, if you look in very closely, you can see the 2 dark spots there. That's a male, and there aren't any dark spots on here, and that's a female. Butterfly life. Butterflies flutter around searching for food. They feed on sweet sugary nectar inside flowers. When it is time to mate, the males follow the females. They fly around the females and push them to the ground. The female lays her egg one at a time. And there you can see some eggs If you zoom in very closely, you might see those. Once the butterflies have mated, the female lays her eggs. A new life cycle then begins. Adults usually live for only 2 to 5 weeks, so it's very important that they lay those eggs. A long journey. As summer comes to an end, monarch butterflies start an amazing journey called a migration. They fly to warmer places. The journey can cover thousands of kilometres and takes more than 2 months. Millions of monarch butterflies spend the winter resting on trees. In spring, the butterflies set off to their summer homes. On the way, they mate. The young change into butterflies and continue the journey. The monarch butterflies wake up when warm weather arrives. So they go into a thing called a bit of hibernation, just like a bear. And as promised, this is a glossary and an index. I'm going to explain those to you in this first book. So the glossary has information. So if we want to find out about an insect, we look down, it's in an alphabetical order, and this starts with A for abdomen, C for camouflage, D digest, I insect. Oh, I'd like to know about insect. An animal with 6 legs and a body divided into 3 parts. Did our monarch butterfly have 3 parts? You're right, it does. So it's an insect. And then it tells you, and it will always be in alphabetical order with the first letter. And then we go over to our index page. And the index page, if we're interested in finding out if our book has any information about a thing, so I'm going to look up insects like I did over here, and I go down because I know it is in alphabetical order. Insects on page 4 and 5 and page 22. Let's see if it's right. So, page 4 and 5. Yes, and there is the word insect. Wow, on page 4 and 5, and it tells us that it has 3 parts. Wow. And what was the other one that we looked at? Let's have a note. It says page 22. Let's turn to page 22. That's where we were. And in the glossary it tells us. So every time that that word would be mentioned in the book, that's where you'll find it. This is pretty cool, isn't it? So look out for the others in the series of life cycles. I hope you've enjoyed this. Ka kite.